Welcome back to another Mushihimesama run. This time I have for you a 1.5 Maniac Max 1 credit clear. And looks like it's been about little over 2 weeks since my last one, all told. Wasn't expecting to get it this soon, but it all came together today, and let's jump into it. So this routing, it was funny timing because someone whose videos I use a lot for routing is it's this RG, maybe I'll just say this erg. I don't know how to say the name, but they just uploaded a no miss no bomb of this specific mode. So that's really useful for learning routing, because you know what is the optimal route where you don't get hit at all and you also don't use any bombs. That can be really useful. So I've taken a lot from that route and also added my own little twist here and there for what I thought worked for me, and this is the result. I like the music on this first stage. It really sets the mood for the rest of the run. Like right at this part, when this part kicks in, I kind of feel like, all right, focus time. I don't think there's too much notable in stage 1. You kind of just play it on autopilot at this point, except for this part. That part got me a few times until I learned to leave a little more space from the right side. And coming up here we have the boss. This run switches between the different shot types, and here I just grab Trace because it doesn't really matter and I want to not be distracted chasing down that power-up. And same strategy as usual with this guy. Try to get his health down as quickly as possible so that the last phase is really short. So that means get up close. And kind of not the best way to dodge there, but it worked. And then we have stage 2 coming up. Stage 1 and 2 I didn't practice that much, my philosophy being that I'll get plenty of experience with them when I try to do actual runs. And it shows in some places. I think, if I recall correctly, this had a very off-route start. So far it's normal, but maybe that was my previous attempt that I'm thinking of. I've only done like 3 attempts today. I haven't had really that many attempts at this, just because I kind of just do attempts at like credit feeds to practice, and then I spend most of my time in practice mode, and I start to get a sense where I'm finally like ready. Oh, here. Oh, yeah, that's definitely, this is way off route. Shouldn't make it that difficult, but I kind of got trapped there. So I usually don't start making runs until I'm really like feeling like I've gotten as much as I can really from practice, and the investment is starting to be diminishing returns. Investment of practice time. Just making sure to clear these guys on the left before I go take out the sand pit beetle. Antlion? Is that the right term? Aren't antlions the ones that make the sand traps? And Same as with the other modes, just making sure you know what direction you want to be streaming once the tree opens up. And you'll be good. And if you aren't prepared for that, you will get trapped. So still breaking all the legs on this boss. And unfortunate hit there. I don't restart if I just take one hit on boss 2, like, which was a good choice, clearly. And I like to go up and around that wave and then back down. I found that is the most consistent. I used to try staying at the bottom, but I found it to be way more consistent doing that. That is not a dodge I recommend doing. I got really lucky I got through that, but I was supposed to go over instead of through that little mess. But you're going so fast and your hitbox is so small that sometimes it works, but that wasn't intentional. Stage 3 intro is always the first place that I focus on when I've noticed when starting a new mode. It's because these guys are... I was very frustrated for a couple days practicing this. They just fill the screen with shots no matter what you do. This is a lot more consistent now than in other modes that and videos I've shown, where I'm more staying towards the center here and not going out towards the extreme edges, and just always keeping my eye on when is there a gap that I can dodge back through, and then just taking it. And unfortunately, I thought this was going to be, that probably meant that, oh, there's no way I'll win. But yeah, I got a little bit too slow with my tap dodging, which happens to me seemingly only when I'm doing runs, never in practice mode. But I've definitely had that happen quite a few times. Too slow tap dodging. Especially because those eye beams are just really fast shots. Yeah, not so great here either. It's not that I don't have a way of getting through here without a miss, but couldn't pull it off. And this is very similar to the route that I took inspiration from. Really starting to run out of room, so I was probably tap dodging too fast. But really important to try to clear the little snakes and then do some damage to this section as much as you can, so you can clear them and then break it to clear all the shots, and that gives you a lot easier time getting through here. I broke it a little bit early, so you can see I'm having to do some pretty sketchy micro dodges there. That is not my recommendation. You should break it later so that you can avoid having to do that. And here, if you start up and just try to go as slow as you can, it's really tough because they look like they're just coming within an inch of you. But if you do this, then it makes these, the yellow bugs easier to clear. And I try to always grab trace here so that it makes the run consistent. Even if maybe some things would be easier with formation, I found that it's not worth the risk. And it also messes with my practice, so that it's a lot easier to grab trace. So I usually do that. This is weird because you start on the far left side, even though the black bug shows up on the far right side. But by doing that, gives you a nice and easy, slow stream to the right, and lets you clear both of the black bugs. Just dodging left and right here, so that I have enough room to miss those fans. And then there's always a gap here, and here it's easiest if you move as little to the left as possible. But oh man, how did I not get hit by that? It looked like I passed right through the center. Maybe it was a glitch. Don't do that, obviously. But by staying so close to the right, then it's easier to clear all of the yellow bugs that show up afterwards while everything's still slowed down. And then here we have a nice little... getting the extend without any bombs, which I previously thought was impossible. And finally, after many attempts... Remember, this is a really hard spot to practice because there is no save states, there is no checkpoint in the middle that you can start from. You have to get here from the very beginning. So that really sucks, but you can tell that I've done it quite a bit. And too much movement there, too much lateral movement, bad habit of mine. Too much lateral movement, not enough vertical movement, making me dodge into a shot that I didn't need to. I have my eye on the health bar there, so I know, should I stay in point blank him? Am I going to be able to finish him? Very proud of how this section turned out. I'm actually able to dodge some of these crazy overlaid patterns, given enough experience, which is something I thought maybe I just will never be able to do. But yeah, on that first phase, I had really check on his health bar to see if I'm going to be able to finish him off before he gets off his next pattern. And I'm glad I managed to... On the second phase, it's all about doing as much damage as you can so that his last pattern is as short as possible, because that thing is just kind of rolling the dice. At this stage is always... It's all about the beetles and the stick bugs. So that's how I always do it. Yeah, I like to sweep back and restream and clear, and then I like to go around in a circle here. You got to be careful. Make sure you give enough room so that those bugs on the left don't shoot you as you're going around those circles, because you're very close to them. Then just sweeping back and forth here. And get under the green beetle right when it shows up, so you can break it before it gets another shot off, and then try to get... You want to be shooting the green beetle, but get left enough so that you don't get hit by the popcorn on the left. And then, unfortunately, I do have a route through here that's no miss, and it's difficult, and I kind of just learned it today, so I guess I wasn't able to show it off. And this is great. If you're familiar with how people usually do this, you're probably extremely anxious watching me do this section, because this is not at all, this is not how I practiced it, but I got a bad start to it, so I had to improvise and pray. This guy, I found the key to this first pattern is how far away are you looking from your ship. If it's too far away, you're gonna kind of not have a good sense of where your ship is, and you'll dodge into the bullets unless you're really experienced. But if it's too close, then you won't be able to see far enough away in order to dodge. So it's about finding that perfect distance to focus from your ship in order to optimize between look ahead, like reaction time, and positional clarity. And a lot of patterns in this genre, I think, boil down to that at some point. Once you learn kind of where to be, you've optimized your positioning, then you optimize where exactly do you look. And a distance of, a few tens, 20s of pixels difference of where you focus can make a surprising difference. So this is all about breaking those tails and being ready for all the stick bugs and swarms that come at you. It's very oppressive, but I found this section after I got the pattern down, it was very reliable. Just come over here for the head. Breaking the heads when you know they're gonna come down towards you if you don't. And then break the tail and switch right over to this head and stream to the right. Take out all those guys on the island, and then back to the next tail. And tail to head again. And make sure, get the tail and then back off just enough so that you won't get shot. Break the tail and use that to clear out the popcorn. And now we're back to tails and heads, and this spot's pretty easy. Now, just kind of hanging out here, and sometimes I get a little more aggressive because I get really bored in this section. And then you pretty much hang out down here for the remainder of this. And then we have the worst boss in the entire run. I don't know what their philosophy was for designing this boss, but I personally hate it. I hate it. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, it's just not... There's too much randomness. If, like, that second overlaid pattern... Oh, and so here, notice I actually manually bombed there. With this guy, I found... Because it's so impossible, like, that pattern I just feel is so impossible to dodge for me, no matter how much I've practiced. I found that it's best to try to just make sure you get the most out of your bombs. Another really, really tricky pattern there. I have not mastered that, but I managed to get through it. Same here. Like, what are you supposed to do? How did I even get through there? And it sucks because it really thinned out here. I could have definitely gotten through there, but whatever. You get lucky in some parts, unlucky in other parts. You know, you lucky or, yeah, skill. Yeah, overall really, really annoying boss. And so if you auto-bomb, if you get hit an auto-bomb, the bomb does less damage and clears, you know, makes you invincible for a lot less time. So if you really are sure that you're not going to be able to dodge, you should actually manually bomb. And that's what I did there. And also, if you have more than one bomb, when you auto-bomb, it clears your entire bomb stock, no matter how many bombs you have. So you definitely want to manually bomb if you have more than one. And that is what saved my butt on that boss. And this first section is all about the pitcher plants and how you're gonna make sure you have enough space to deal with them. I always do this on this section. Go to the right and sweep left. Try to clear as many as we can. Find a way through, back to the right, clear the right side, and then back to the left. Stay low enough where you can get under the popcorn on the left and then go back to the right and clear the popcorn on the right. And then sometimes you can kill that grasshopper before he gets off his second shot, which is great. But if you don't, you can usually kill the piranha pitcher plant just before that Mantis's second volley hits you. So, yeah, and then just need enough space so we can tap dodge to the right through the big moth, and then go back and circle around so we have enough room to tap to the right as we clear that pitcher plant. Not so great there. Obviously, that's not part of the plan. Just a bad micro dodge. I had some good ones in here, so naturally, got to have some regression to the mean here and have some bad micro dodging. Here, it's really important to clear that grass before you come around, which I did. Otherwise, he can shoot point blank in your face. And then here, you want to get right because all those ladybugs are shooting kind of fixed shots, I think. And then you immediately want to regain some space so that you can not get trapped by the pitcher plant. Now it's smooth sailing pretty much up to the mid-boss, who is another... Well, I've fought the mid-boss so much that I've gotten a lot more consistent, but this run went so surprisingly well for me. I really had an adrenaline rush on this stage, so my performance was impacted by that. And I honestly haven't had like that sort of adrenaline spike playing this game in quite a while, other than the adrenaline spike of me wanting to spike my controller through the window. Yeah, so nerves. That's what I blame on that mistake. That's a very... He gave me such a great, easy first pattern It really sucked that I screwed up that next one, because that's actually a really easy one. I never expect to die there, but I just kind of had too much energy, so I held right for too long. This is probably the toughest spot in the stage, in my opinion, to no miss, no bomb. So I always kind of play it by ear, but my general philosophy is get as close as I can and focus as soon as that big spider becomes vulnerable, and then don't stay too far left, and make sure to go under the line of little shots coming from the popcorn on the right, and just kind of hang out down there and live as long as you can. That's how I found. I wasn't able to really reproduce what I saw in this erg's route for this stage, unfortunately, and so that's the section where I kind of had my own idea of how to get through it. I'm probably just missing something with like how they're controlling the shots. I just couldn't reproduce it. But that worked surprisingly well. Sometimes you just end up in a situation where you just got to play through a section over and over again and try different things, and yeah, that sucked too. Oh well. Try it over again, try different things, and eventually brute force your way into something that works reliably. And make sure once you think you have something, you try it out multiple times and see, is it really robust? It's sometimes hard to know, is this inconsistent because it's inherently inconsistent, or is it inconsistent because I just haven't mastered it? Same here. This is another tough section, but I found it to be really consistent here. You start way up high on the left, release A so that your trace is there attacking the guy on the left, and once he pops, you can kind of circle back around and then you start holding A so that you can clear both of those moths and get through. And it looks really hard, but once you get used to following that pattern, like, it's actually surprisingly consistent. So now we're in a good situation. I've never gotten to this boss so far in any of my attempts with one bomb and one life. And definitely got a lot more consistent on his first few patterns as opposed to some of my previous uploads. You go up there and then sweep right back down and up before he starts shooting. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck underneath it. M power is just not fast enough to wait. Unfortunately, didn't get through there. Oh, and the immediate death afterwards, that really sucked. What caught me off guard is when you auto bomb, the shield duration is so much lower than when you normally bomb. And I should have just probably bombed, because I knew that section is tough. And I can get through here too, but you're going to see that I don't, because I overdid it and I dodged too far to the right. So I was so scared of hitting what was coming to the left that I dodged into the right side, which is kind of a recurring theme for me in general. And the last one there, so now I have to get through his final pattern with no misses. Seems pretty scary, but once you've played through this pattern enough times, it's fairly consistent. That was really, really close there. But now from here, it's pretty easy. Just hang out down here. You are going to want to cross through that bottom stream. And now we're done. Nice. So I hope that commentary is helpful if you're trying to take on this mode. I definitely would recommend 1.5 original first, 1.5 original max first, and obviously 1.5 Maniac before that, also with M power. So in the same order as I did my runs. I thought that was a really, all the order that I've gone through for this game, I think has been really the right way to do it in terms of increasing difficulty. And it's been fun doing this so many times and getting a feel for the overall flow of trying to do a 1cc. We'll go back to the beginning, just look at some stuff, some pretty pictures while I really go on. And so going through this multiple times, you'd start to get a sense of like, when is it really coming together? And I feel like I'm almost there, like I almost have it. And I was definitely starting to feel that maybe as of this morning when I jumped into practice mode, and some of the sections that I was really struggling with in practice yesterday, I was doing well on. And it's another thing that's really hard still is like, especially at this many hours of play, you get good really fast when you're first picking up a game, and probably when you're first picking up shmups in general. But then it just the progress gets harder and harder to notice, and that was especially the case for me with this. I had some days where I felt like I wasn't making any progress. I most assuredly was. It's just so hard to notice because there's no like super obvious transformation that's taking place, and it's so easy to just notice your mistakes, and you kind of have to think more statistically, objectively, if you want to be able to notice that sort of progress, like record where you're dying and stuff like that. Or you could just trust that the time you're investing is paying off. As long as you are practicing effectively, it's possible for any endeavor to not practice efficiently. I remember that being an issue for me when I was playing violin when I was much younger and didn't have like good practicing habits. The credit feeding equivalent of playing an instrument is just like playing through your song, and even if you make a mistake, just playing on. And that's not optimal for practicing. You really need to practice sections, and especially what I thought was really important is repetition of a certain section multiple times in a row. Like you'll improve a lot better if you can be exposed to the same situation over and over again in a row, because it gives you chance to immediately notice things and immediately take corrective action and stuff like that. If you just kind of, oh, here's a section I have trouble on, I'll play it like once. Oh, okay, I actually got through it, so I guess I'm good at it and I'm going to move on. No. You really want to play it over and over again to make sure that you've locked in those neural pathways. And even if you're not doing well, play it over and over again, and just every time I notice, like, I do notice, like, oh, here's this one little specific way that I've improved how I'm playing this specific section, because I played it like 5 to 10 times in a row. I think I saw somewhere somebody recommended, like, just set a number and have some checkboxes and just say, here's how many times I'm going to play through this section. And that's your practice session. That could work pretty well. I don't like having to add all that overhead. So let's talk about what is next for me. So also mentioned by somebody else, I think it was this erg, who said that ultra mode is something that's maybe best to come back to after you have gotten a lot more experience playing other shmups, because I guess the jump in difficulty from this to ultra mode is just huge. So I'm not going to take on ultra mode right now. I'm probably going to come back to it and play it eventually. But I am going to play a different game, and through that, hopefully get a little bit more breadth of experience, and also find something that is a better incremental step up for me than going from this straight away to ultra mode. And who knows, maybe what I'll do is I'll play that other game and I'll also play this one. Like I'll kind of mix both in, and I'll play ultra mode just so I'm kind of getting my feet wet with ultra mode and maintaining a connection with this game. But I think the best way to improve my skills in general will be to look for a different game. I would love to play Mushihimesama Futari. But sadly, it is not easy to play, and I'm not really interested in importing a 360 and dealing with hardware and stuff. So like the best option right now would be playing it on Xenia, I suppose, which is probably better in terms of slowdown than trying to play it on MAME. But I kind of am a little bit sick of the Mushihimesama style. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I've seen a lot of it, and the purple bullets are really starting to get to me. So I kind of want to play a different game. And so I've had my eye on, because it's so easy to play, Doronpachi Daifukatsu, or Resurrection, it's called, on Steam, and I own it. And it has a lot of different modes, and I really like the art style and all that stuff. So, and I like this has a very fantasy style, and then Daifukatsu is a more like sci-fi style, and I like it from what I've played so far. So I think I'm going to tackle that. And just looking at the Japanese shmup difficulty spreadsheet, I think Daifukatsu has some stuff that is going to be a good step up from Mushihimesama. The one thing, though, that is not, like, the max modes are not on that spreadsheet. If you know what I'm talking about, like, you either know what I'm talking about or you don't. It's this big spreadsheet compiled by the Japanese shmup community, of trying to rank, like, what is the difficulty. Yeah, so I was kind of using that to see what I might shoot for next. I'd be curious what those players or other players think about this mode that I just cleared in comparison to that list. I know this mode, I would say this mode is the last kind of the hardest difficulty before you get into actual ultra mode, not novice ultra mode. Of course, I completed that rather early in my Mushi career. So yeah, Daifukatsu, and I've heard people say, though, that it's kind of a game where it's best when played for scoring as opposed to survival, which obviously I'm not really into the scoring yet, but we'll see how it goes. What's important is I feel like I want to play it, so there we have it. And I really hope that maybe, you know, they just put out SDOJ. Cave just released a port of SDOJ on the Switch, so who knows? Maybe we'll get Futari. Maybe it's in the works. Who knows? But if not, I probably will just end up playing it on maybe Xenia or something, and I don't really care if it's not accepted on the official leaderboards, because competing against the best of the best across the world is not something I have the motivation for. I'll let people who want to do that, and I really just don't want to fuss with hardware. A big clunky Xbox, and what happens when it breaks, and all that stuff. Another thing I've been playing, I already have been playing, in fact. I've checked out Crimson Clover. That's a really cool game. Great game, but I still feel like Daifukatsu will be a better one to take on next. But I've also been playing Death Smiles co-op with my partner, and that's been fun. It's such a great game for 2-player, because you can choose like the rank as you go through the stages. Yeah, I think it's like one of the best shmups I've played for playing 2 players with unequal skill. So I've just been playing through that together, and maybe one of these days, once we're good enough to 1cc it together, we will record that. But yeah, Death Smiles, totally different. It's horizontal. You've got the ability to shoot left and right, so that's crazy. And it was designed, I think, to be somewhat easier somewhat more approachable from what I recall reading on, like, I think it was like Hardcore Gaming 101 had a nice article about Death Smiles. So, yeah, that's interesting. Sometimes Hardcore Gaming 101 has better information on a game than the Shmups wiki. That's probably just a function of everyone who's playing Shmups, they're playing Shmups. They don't have time to update a wiki. Or they're talking on forums and stuff. So that's the situation. Death Smiles. Oh yeah, and Death Smiles, when I'm playing 2-player, it doesn't seem to be able to record replays. So we'll have to... I guess I'll have to manually record that, which is a little annoying. But whatever. The fact that it has a fun 2-player mode is good enough, you know, is a blessing enough. So I think I've gone on long enough here. Looking forward to finally playing a different game, seeing some different graphics, hearing some different music. And I gotta go work off these post 1cc shakes. I'm gonna go do some rowing. So I will see everybody next time. Thank you for watching. Go play some shmups and have fun. Goodbye.